India's market news headquarters. Cutting-edge analysis. Influential insights. Market-moving intelligence. Broadcasting live from the CNBC TV 18 Motilal Oswal studios in Mumbai.
Good morning. You're with us here on a fresh new edition of Bazaar Morning Call. We are coming to you live this Tuesday morning from the CNBC TV 18 Motilal Oswal studios. I'm Prashant Pudbi, my colleague Surabhi and Nigel. Guys, hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning, guys. And the countdown is on to the fair. And the countdown is also on because the city is all set to bid farewell to one of its favorite gods. It's Visarjan Day here in Mumbai. So, yeah, I think it's that day where Mumbaikars usually have mixed feelings, right? Saying goodbye to Ganpati, but wishing that he leaves all, well and prosperous.
And I think, markets may be quiet today, but the streets of Mumbai will be anything but quiet.
Oh, yes.
Right? I mean, I think, as Surabhi said, bidding farewell, at least for this year, to the favorite god, Ganpati Bappa. And of course, I mean, here's hoping that he removes all obstacles and sort of brings in prosperity for all. So those are some images of the idol. There'll be festivities on the street and, of course, mixed emotions as well throughout the course of the day. So we'll get you visuals through the course of the day from some of the biggest Ganpati idols as they head out to the sea and other water bodies. So that's essentially the sort of big story here from Mumbai. But there's the market to track, so let's just turn the clock back to where we left off yesterday, right? Because global markets, well, they were flat, absolutely flat. The S&P was down about, was up about 0.13, so unchanged nearly. The Nasdaq was a bit more pronounced. There was a 0.5% cut. So out of the two, I mean, the one which kind of stood out was the Nasdaq. Dollar index has seen a big cut. I mean, look, the dollar, by the way, is now, it's out of the 11 weeks, last 11 weeks, the dollar has been down for 9 out of the 11. And finally, it's broken. I mean, it basically is getting to the breaking into the two-digit handle. So 100.71, 0.3% lower, and big supports come in this zone, 100.42 and 100.79. What are these levels? Between 100.42 and 100.79, it's a 20 weekly moving average, it's a December 2023 low, and it's also the February and March 2023 lows. So they all coincide in this range between 100.42 and 100.79. A break below this perhaps brings in more renewed weakness as far as the dollar is concerned. Lower dollar is great news for emerging markets, and I think we've seen flows into EMs pick up as the dollar has continued to come off. Now, dollar JPY is also back to it bounced a little bit, so 140.5. It hit a low of 139.5, which means the yen hit a high of 139.5, and then it bounced a little bit here. I mean, again, the reaction function essentially is what's happening to the dollar. As the dollar keeps going lower, it pushes other currency and important currency pairs higher. Of course, there is the US rates function as well. Oil prices up nearly 2%. We're back about 73. Gold remains near all-time highs, so no big change there. Later tonight, we get retail sales numbers and then the FOMC decision tomorrow. And of course, I mean, there is a fair bit of talk about what will happen. You basically had the former Fed official, William Dudley, who last week made a comment that 50 basis points is still on the table, but he wrote an op-ed for Bloomberg, and he was much more explicit. And this is what he said. He said, Fed should go big now, and I think it will. So, for what it's worth, that's the comment. So 25 or 50, that's the big question. Retail sales data later today will be perhaps important to track, and that may go into the mix of for the decision as far as the FOMC is concerned. And actually, our ideal situation will be, this is maybe too much to ask. You get a solid retail sales number, and then it's followed by a 50 basis point rate cut, right? Best of both worlds. But we'll see. Now, for the market, just to circle back and tie in the levels, for the Nifty, the upper end of the ending diagonal pattern, as we put out yesterday as well, is 25,475. We're not very far away from that. On the way down, supports come in at 25,212, which is the 40-hourly, and then around the 25,000 levels. So these are supports coming in on the Nifty. Bank Nifty, it's managed to close slightly above the 66% retracement. The next target is a 78%, which is 52,550. So again, I mean, it's less than 1% away on the Nifty Bank on the upside. The work of repair, etc., continues. Financials outperformed the Nifty even yesterday. And, we'll see if there is more here. On the way down, supports come in at the 40 hourly, which is 51,611. So these are supports which come in for the Nifty Bank. Maybe a little quiet, at least for the market, because of the important next 2 days, essentially, the Fed decision. I mean, a cut is expected, and that is generally expected to be good. But just around that event, will we see a little bit of volatility? If you're very, very short term, then you've got to be very mindful of that. The indication is it's going to be a 40-point higher start. Surabhi.
Well, Prashant, I guess the Asian market setup is a little confused ahead of this big event because the markets that are trading, they're moving in absolutely divergent directions. There's the Nikkei, which is down 1.5%, but there's Hong Kong, which is up 1%. And a lot of regional markets, remember, they're still sort of closed for those regional holidays. So mainland China is not trading, South Korea is not trading, Taiwan is not trading. It's all eyes on the Federal Reserve. And as I said, the moves are very, very divergent. Just a point on this retail sales data. I'm not sure how much the Fed is really going to read into it. It's the last number before the announcement. But for what it's worth, there is a decline expected. US retail sales for August, the decline expected is 0.2%. If you strip out auto sales, then there might be a 0.2% increase. So just placing that number on the table for you. Let's come here home and look at the fund flow pictures to begin with. For a change, we had FIIs that were net sellers. About 1,600 crores of net sales came through, and the DII number was not that big. It was still good. It was still supportive, about 750 crores of buying. But the FII selling was outstripping the DII buying at least yesterday. I just want to pick up from some of the interesting comments we got from the finance minister, and we'll play this out as the show progresses later on 3 important points. She was speaking at a News 18 event. On the market, she did make a reference to the exuberance and how investors need to be cautious. She said that there needs to be caution on the exuberance in the market. People should understand the risks of equity market and then participate. So, some hint over there. There was a first public statement on the SEBI chief and all that's been flying around, the allegations that have been flying around. She said quite a few allegations have been answered by Madhavi Puj and her husband. And then she says, and I quote, the facts will have to be taken on board in the Madhavi Puj situation. So this is the first public comment by a government head, by a minister on this entire matter. Last but not the least, we have been hearing increasing chatter around quick commerce and whether there needs to be more regulation. Watch out for stocks like Zomato. The Swiggy IPO is coming as well. What did the finance minister say? She said that it's important to take care of small traders and retailers. If deep pockets and predatory pricing is affecting small retailers, then we should look at it. Remember, the e-commerce policy is still in the making, and it's been waiting in the wings for a long, long time. And we've heard other ministers also comment on this, including Mr. Piyush Goyal. And yesterday was the finance minister's turn to talk. So just something to keep on the radar as you're evaluating perhaps positions around some of these stocks. Quickly moving on, yesterday the market was very, very stock specific. And I reckon that as we wait for the big Fed announcement, maybe that's going to be the shape of things today as well. Lots of stocks. And just to give you a flavor and a sampling, we've been talking about this board meeting of Easy Trip Planners. It got pushed from the 13th to 17th, which is today. They're apparently going to consider acquisition. So let's see what comes out over there. First Source is partnering with Microsoft Azure for OpenAI. The word AI gets the market excited. There are no contours of this deal, but anyway, we'll watch out for the stock. Vedanta, Nigel's been updating us on Vedanta as well. They've got issues around, one of their major facilities. It's a dike breach in Odisha, their major facility. The company issued lots of statements. We'll tell you more about it as we go forward. Short point, as usual, it's probably going to be more stock-specific in nature because at the headline level, I guess, the market's still waiting for the big event to get out of the way, which is the Fed meet, Nigel.
Well, that's right. I think the dollar index, that's holding at around a one-year low. Well, that bodes well, right, for an emerging market like India. The probability now of the Fed cutting rates has moved up by around 50 basis points. And that's a double-edged sword, right? Because you have interest rates that'll be down, but it could suggest that growth as well is fairly weak. And we'll have the Nifty Financial Services Index that'll play out the weekly expiry as well. So that's going to be important. What about yesterday? We saw a bit of a short covering bounce that played out, both on the Nifty as well as on the Nifty Bank. We did have the open interest that was a little bit lower in yesterday's session. How about positioning? The FIs, they're net long, 68% of their positions on the long side. Even in absolute terms, both the FIs as well as the clients, they are in opposite ends of the spectrum. Moving to the options data, In yesterday's trading session, you had the 25,400 put that was fairly active. There was some writing that was seen at that particular level, which tells you that in the near term, the 25,250, 25,300 level, that's very, very important. But yesterday's high at around the 25,450, that becomes a crucial resistance zone. And I'll tell you what, for those that may not be able to fathom the kind of volatility that we're bracing for, maybe taking some money off the table at the start today could be an option as well, given that we have a big event that will play out. Moving to the Nifty Bank, well, the 20 DMA is important. The near-term support going by the options data is at around the 51,500 odd mark. The metals pack, that's going to be in focus because of the weaker dollar, and Vedanta would be the ideal stock. But that stock has some stock-specific issues. So that's why we're looking at IMFA, a stock that has corrected 25% from the recent peak. It took support at around that 620 odd level, and yesterday it moved up on higher volumes. So maybe IMFA is a stock you keep on your radar. The metals pack, clean balance sheet, and it's got some tailwinds working for it as well.
All right, Nigel, thanks very much, and have a glass of hot, warm water, maybe something. Well, it's Nigel with, what he's watching out for, some of the stocks as well. Richard.